Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie Jennings from EJSLLC.com. This video is another in my practice session series for the Red Hat Certified Specialist in Identity Management Exam EX362. Before I dive in, I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video, as well as invite anyone who's watching, if you have not subscribed, to click that subscribe button. Also, a reminder, these are my practice sessions for the exam. My exam's just under 3 weeks, or just over 3 weeks away, and so I'm going through all of the posted objectives and either trying to explain the concept behind the objective or do some exercises to practice the objective. And at the end of the video, I'll do a little self-assessment, and hopefully I'll feel confident in the objective, and if not, I still have a little bit of time to close some knowledge gaps if needed. These should not be considered tutorials, nor should they be considered authoritative information, because I'm learning this right along with you. But I put these out on the internet in hopes that if you are also preparing for these exams, some of the stuff that I do in my practice sessions might give you some ideas of things that you could try. I do try to have the information accurate, but as I said, I'm still learning myself, so do not consider these tutorials or authoritative information. So we're going to continue with the install IdM using either scripts or Ansible Automation Platform, and we're going to focus on the Ansible Automation Platform side. So before I get into that, I'm actually going to log into a GitLab instance that I've made in my lab environment. And the reason why I've done this is, judging from some of the Ansible-based exams that I've done, a lot of their objectives talk about you have to use Git for your source control for projects within Ansible Automation Platform. That's some of the objectives that's written. So even though it does not explicitly say, using a project in a Git repository, do this in Ansible Automation Platform, I have a feeling that's how it's going to be. So let me get the URL I'll need to clone this. There's nothing in there other than a little README file right now. Clone with SSH. And I have me a little directory called IPA that we're going to clone into here. Okay, so all we should have is the README. I'm not going to worry about making branches and such. I'm just going to do everything in main. So to deploy an IPA server, I could write a playbook from scratch and figure out modules from, I think it's Red Hat _IDM collection, or it's just like Ansible.redhat _IDM, that collection, which is included as a part of the execution environments that are made available from Red Hat. But there is also a package which I've actually already installed on my little workstation VM here called Ansible Free IPA. If I were to RPM QA and grep that, you'll see that I have that installed. And what this will do is actually install some roles and playbooks that you can use for this. I'm assuming that this will probably be available on the exam because it is a part of the basic Red Hat repos. You don't have to have the Ansible Automation Platform repo to be able to see this, and we can confirm this here. Probably don't have to do sudo for that, but why not? Odd. Just do this. It should tell us the repo it's in. Yeah, so it's in the AppStream RPMs repo, which is one of the two that typically are enabled for a Red Hat Enterprise Linux system. So I would assume you would be able to download this on the exam. If not, then I might be in a bad situation because I don't have all of the different pieces of this collection memorized. And in my experience on the exams, the goal really, there are some things you just have to know, but the goal is not memory of everything. So what you can do, and I'll do ls here. So user share doc Ansible free IPA. We have a lot of the markdown files that give you readmes about the particular pieces that come with the roles in the playbooks, and then within the actual playbooks themselves, you will see several things that will be of use. So I'm going to use the install server.yml playbook. Copy that path. We're just going to copy that into our directory. That should have, of course, let me use the cp command. That might be a little more effective for that. And there we have our install server. And if I were to VI into this, there's not much to it. It's basically going to be, it's expecting a group called IPA server, and it is going to be calling a role for IPA server. So the actual role itself, you can get to that with, I think it's just user share Ansible free IPA, that, or is it user share bin? Probably should, this should be something I probably have memorized. There it is, user share Ansible, or user share Ansible roles, and it has brought in the, it's kind of tough to see, it's dark blue, but all of the roles that came from the Ansible-free IPA package. So I'm going to go in the IPA server. You see kind of the standard stuff for roles. Again, it might be a little bit difficult because it's coming up as dark blue, but what I want is the README. Because what the README is going to tell us is about the variables that we can use with our inventory. And this is important because this is really what's going to be used for making the role function the way that we want to configure the IPA server in the way that we want it configured. So what I'm actually going to do is open a text editor. We're going to start, and then we're going to edit the playbook that we had. So I'm going to go to Home, IPA. We're going to build our playbook. Or not the playbook, we're going to make an inventory. So let me go ahead and make me a new file here and save it as inventory. You can do this either as INI or YAML. We'll just do .ini for right now. All right, and so IPA server, that's going to be lab.idm server.idm EJS lab.com. And then we'll make vars for that. And again, a lot of these are similar to what you had in the just CLI install of it. We have to specify the domain. And it's going to be idm.ejslab.com. We'll specify the realm. We'll specify the admin password for the actual admin account. I usually do my inventory files in YAML, so you'll see me probably use colons when I shouldn't. And we'll do good old monkey123 as the password. We have to do the directory manager password, just keep it the same. And really, for a basic install, that's all that you have to do. There are a couple other things that we are going to do though, or a few more variables that we're going to include. Get to the bottom and it shows you all the variables. Let's see. So we have our, you don't have to worry about the IPA server because that's what this is going to be. We are going to set up DNS. So we need to have IPA server set up DNS is equal to true. Not worrying about some of those others. We are going to want to set some of the DNS variables. Oh, for the client. I want to go ahead and make the home directory. Is that one of my variables available to me? It is not. Grumble. Oh well, I was hoping I could do that. Otherwise, I can do it with auth select if needed. But the big thing is DNS. Actually, I'm going to specify the reverse zone this time. I could do auto reverse and it'll get it from the etsyresolve.conf, but, or it'll, not that, I think it'll figure it out from the IP address, but I'm spelling that right. Zones, this will be 50.0.10 in adder ARPA. Let's go ahead and specify a forwarder, which will be my actual internal DNS server for my labs. Don't think there's anything else that I'm necessarily going to need with this. I guess technically I could go ahead and specify the NetBIOS name, IdM. Setting up the firewalls by default true, you don't have to worry about that. And we thank Thomas Werner for making this playbook for us. All right, or making this role in the README file. So that should be everything that we need. Go ahead and save this. I am going to SSH into that server because I want to verify a couple of things here. Yeah, I need to go ahead and edit. You might not have to do this. I remember when I was doing some of my initial learning and testing that that hostname -f needed to spit out fully qualified domain name even when you're doing the Active Directory, not Active Directory, when you're using Ansible Automation Platform for deploying the server. So lab IdM server, yes, lab.com and lab IdM server. Okay, that looks good. And let me look at, because it'll be downloading packages and such, so make sure we have good DNS for that. Okay. Now on my actual Ansible Automation server, I'm actually going to add an entry to its host file, and this is because of DNS. So IdM server, IdM EGS lab.com. Because the DNS for this is not pointed to the IdM server itself. On the actual exam, I don't know if I'll need to do this, but just in case, I want it to work for my environment, and hopefully this will work. I've also went ahead and installed an AAP controller. I doubt we'll have to do a full AAP controller install in the exam. That's for one of the AAP exams. That's one of the explicit objectives, is install the controller, and that is not an explicit objective on this exam, which kind of makes sense because the whole point of this exam is identity management. So I would assume AAP is already going to be there. I'm not sure if it'll already be configured for you or not, but I think it'll at least be installed. Okay, so let's go to our automation controller, and we're going to go ahead. Actually, we'll make the project first. So let me go back to here. Go ahead and commit this. Oh yeah, I need to do git config. Haven't done that yet. Just use my LLC email, info@ejsllc.com, and my name. All right, so let's try that commit again. Awesome, and we'll go ahead and get push origin. Okay, so let's make some credentials. First, we need to make us a credential, and this, again, I don't know if you'll have to do this on the exam, and even if I did, I wouldn't be able to tell you because of NDA, but I have a feeling a lot of this stuff will already be set up. I imagine what you might have to do is make a change to whatever the playbooks, or add the inventory item and its variables and the like. So we'll call it GitLab. This is a source control. I haven't fleshed this thing out, so just have the default organization. Username is Eddie. Let me grab my private key. Of course, normally I would never have the private key displayed on YouTube, but this is all my little internal lab stuff, so it doesn't really matter. Right. That should be all I need. And while we're at it, we'll go ahead and make a credential for the host. So machine credential. Put in the default org, uses the same private key, uses sudo. I'm pretty sure I have all my stuff already configured with passwordless sudo for that account. All right, so we got credentials. Now let's do some projects. So we'll call it test IPA server, using Git for that. Let me get my URL. And the source control credential is going to be GitLab. Save that, and it's going to try to sync. Hopefully this will work the first time. Now, mind you, my GitLab server is fairly well underpowered. I think I gave it maybe 4 gigs of RAM or whatever, so it probably will take a little bit of time. Of course, if you wanted to, you don't necessarily have to use Git. You can store playbooks and such within. You would make a subdirectory within that var lib AWX projects directory, which I found I would have to restart the AAP services and such, which I was lazy. I just rebooted the machine. Oh, why did you fail? Grumble. Couldn't resolve the host name. That's probably because the execution environment can't get the host name. So I wonder how I'm going to handle, unless I may have made a mistake in my, another tab here, SageLab IdM AAP. I make a mistake in Etsy hosts. Oh, I put the IdM server because it needs to connect to that, but I totally forgot to tell it where the GitLab server is. So yep, let's fix that. Some of you watching this are probably like, all right, when's he going to figure it out? Okay, so let's try this again. Go back to, probably didn't save the, oh yeah, I did save the project. Okay, let's try to sync this again. Now if it fails this time, then I'm going to start running out of ideas. There we go. So it refreshed. We can look at the revision, and that should be the same as the most recent commit. Refresh this page. Yeah, 5A7 should match. Yep. Okay. All right. So we got our project. We need to make an inventory. So we'll just call this. Just do a regular inventory. Test IPA server, or let's call this test IPA server INV. We're going to add any variables yet because we already have those in the inventory file, and that should get picked up. So we'll go to sources, be sourced from our project. Test IPA server should figure out that inventory file. And click update on launch. We'll sync this. Okay, so we'll go back to our inventory, and we should now have our host, and that's imported. It will not have any variables, but if we go back to our groups, we should see the group IPA server, and that has all those variables that we made. You know, the password monkey123 and all that good stuff. Okay, that should be everything that we need. So now we have to make ourselves a job template, and we'll just call this deploy IPA server. Yes, it's all IDM, that's the whole thing, but really it's an IPA server. All right, so the inventory, I'm going to be using this one. Project is test IPA server, and it found the one playbook. The credential we'll use is the SSH host credential. We shouldn't need any other special little thing here, so click save. And we'll launch it, and let's see what happens. Well, that was quick. All right, so reload output, and let's see why it failed. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Okay, so I can see a couple of ways around this. One, I can see why IPA server failed. It's because it's not in the, it must not be what it's named with the built-in Red Hat collection. So we're going to try one way to solve this. We're actually going to copy the roles into here, and the roles that we are going to copy, basically going to copy all of the IPA stuff. So let's see how well I can do this. I want to CP recursively. We'll do verbose, because I want to see it happening. IPA star is going to go to home eddy IPA roles. And let's see what happens. All right, I think that gave me what I wanted. So we'll commit that, we'll push it to origin. Okay, let us refresh our project, or sync the project rather. And let's try this again. See if we get, hopefully, not an immediate failure. All right, this is looking better. It's not, you know, I was thinking about this when I installed the package and when I was first learning about these playbooks and such. I noticed that the role wasn't like fully qualified, or what's it called, FQCN, fully qualified collection name. I guess that makes sense because we haven't technically installed the collection. I think one thing that I will do for the exam is go back and look at the actual Red Hat roles. I think what I will do for just in preparation for the exam over these next couple of weeks is try to familiarize myself with the names of the rail rolls, because I think functionally they're basically the same. I want to verify that and have those names in my head just in case the on the exam. Obviously, you don't have internet access, so I can't go to access.redhat.com and go into the automation hub and take a look at the roles and the documentation. I may be able to install like Ansible Navigator and look at role documentation that way. But I think between now and then that'll be something I try to get into my head. Otherwise, it looks like a little workaround of just add the roles from the Ansible-free IPA package seem to have done the job. And also one thing on the exam, you always have to look at your objectives carefully. And I would imagine if the objective doesn't explicitly say you have to use the Red Hat certified collection and roles, the exam probably won't care. It just, wants you to get the stuff configured. But of course, on the exam, if it does actually say, using Red Hat certified roles, blah, 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 then you'll obviously want to use that. Now, this is going to take a bit of time, just like with the command line install. I can't remember exactly how long this takes. My guess on the command line install was 10 to 15 minutes, and it ended up taking about 11 minutes, I think is what it's had. I think this is about the same. So I'll pause the video and come back once this has completed. All right, and it looks like it was completed. So let's go to, well, first let's see if the web GUI works. All right, I expect this because it's using its own certificate, or it's using the certificate from the internal CA, which the workstation does not trust. Oh, and one thing with using the using Ansible, it will take care of, or there was that one variable that by default is true, and it will take care of the firewall. So monkey123 was our password. All right, this looks good. Go to IPA server, topology, we should just have the one server, and we do. And let's SSH into it. Changed the etcresolve.conf to look to itself for its DNS resolution. And you can dig google.com. That should resolve because it forwards the query out to my actual DNS server in my lab. And let's see if we can grab a Kerberos ticket. And looks like we can. Let's do IPA server find. And that returns our one server. All right, so I think for the deploying via Ansible Automation Platform, this is a pass, including the, it can't find the roles and figuring out a way around that. I think for my last few weeks of preparation for the exam, I'm going to go through and look at the actual Red Hat certified collection for IdM and just see how much difference there is. I might spin me up a private automation hub and play around with that just to try to familiarize myself with it. But otherwise, I have installed via Ansible Automation Platform. So I'm going to consider this a pass. Hopefully you found this useful. If you did, make sure you do click like on the video. That helps. And I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video, as well as invite you, if you haven't subscribed yet, to click the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when new content is available. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you the next time.